Right. Let's take a deep dive into a real classic from 1933, The Invisible Man.
Yeah, this one's going to be fun.
I'm excited to really dig into this one with you. It
Absolutely.
seems like it has it all, suspense,
Mhm.
special effects, and some really thought-provoking themes, too.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see how a film made almost a century ago still resonates with audiences today, you know?
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
testament to its quality and its timeless themes, I think.
Right. And one of the things that struck me right away is the film's opening, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
How it starts in this quiet, snowy English village called Iping.
Right. The Lion's Head Inn.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. The Lion's Head Inn, this cozy little place,
Mhm.
you immediately get this sense of community, and then all of a sudden this mysterious stranger shows up.
Oh, yeah. Talk about disrupting the peace. Dr. Jack Griffin bundled up in bandages head to toe.
It's such a striking visual,
Yeah.
and you instantly know something's not quite right.
Well, and director James Whale, he really knew how to build suspense. Griffin's appearance alone just creates this immediate sense of unease and mystery for the audience.
Right, and it plays on that classic fear of the unknown.
Right, for sure.
What's hidden beneath those bandages? What are his intentions?
And we, the audience, are just as in the dark as the villagers.
Exactly. We're kind of experiencing everything right alongside them.
Hmm.
And that feeling intensifies when Jenny Hall, the innkeeper's wife,
Yeah.
stumbles upon Griffin's secret.
Oh, yeah, that scene where she discovers his invisibility.
It's brilliant how Whale builds the tension in that
Yeah.
moment.
Oh, absolutely.
Her terrified reaction, her gasp, the way she stumbles back,
Pure terror.
it's so effective.
And what's interesting is that even without seeing anything explicitly horrifying,
Right.
it's the suggestion, the unseen, that makes it truly frightening.
Yes, I think that's one of the film's greatest strengths.
Yeah.
The power of suggestion can be so much more terrifying than anything you can actually show on screen.
It taps into our primal feels, what
Mhm.
we can't see or understand.
Right. And that makes Griffin such a compelling villain.
He's a blank slate onto which we can project our own fears.
Exactly. And the film doesn't reveal everything about him all at once.
Yeah.
Instead, it takes us back in time to explore his backstory,
Right, right. We meet Dr. Cranley and his daughter Flora.
who are clearly worried about Griffin's sudden disappearance.
Mm-hmm. They're concerned.
And through their conversations, we start to learn about his obsession with achieving invisibility.
Yes. His groundbreaking work with monocaine, this mysterious drug.
It's like the key to his invisibility, but it seems like it comes at a steep price.
You said it. The film really highlights the idea of scientific hubris.
Oh, absolutely.
Griffin's pursuit of knowledge blinds him to the potential consequences of his actions.
Right. His ambition is both impressive and dangerous at the same time.
Yeah, and monocaine itself is a perfect example of this duality.
It gives him the power he craves, but it also seems to warp his mind.
Yeah, exacerbates his already volatile personality.
We really start to see this when he finally reveals his invisibility to his old friend, Dr. Kemp.
That's a pivotal scene in the film for sure.
It is. It's like a turning point.
Yeah, you see Griffin's mental state deteriorating. He's paranoid, delusional, and filled with this dangerous sense of power.
And his talk about a reign of terror, it's chilling.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's important to note that Griffin's descent into madness, it's not just a plot device. It also reflects a larger societal fear of the unknown and the other.
So that's an interesting point. You can
Yeah.
definitely see that in the scene where the villagers are hunting for Griffin.
Right, with pitchforks and torches.
It's like a primal fear of what we can't see or understand.
And Griffin's invisibility becomes a symbol of that fear.
Exactly. It's like he embodies everything that society is afraid of.
Right, and that fear is only amplified by his actions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
He starts with small acts of mischief, but quickly escalates to violence.
Terrorizing the town of Iping.
That scene where he trashes the Lion's Head Inn is incredible.
Oh, yeah, pure chaos and destruction.
And it really puts you right there in the middle of the action.
You can almost feel the terror of the townsfolk.
And what's amazing is how Whale uses special effects to create this illusion of invisibility.
Yeah, for 1933, these effects were groundbreaking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have to remember that this was decades before CGI and computer animation.
Right. They were using practical techniques like wires forced perspective and clever editing.
And it still holds up.
Yeah.
No, you really believe that Griffin is invisible.
It's a testament to the ingenuity and creativity of those early filmmakers.
Absolutely. And I think it speaks to the enduring power of practical effects.
Mm-hmm.
But as impressive as the special effects are, it's the psychological aspects of the film that really stay with you.
Yeah, you're right. The film doesn't just rely on spectacle. It digs deeper into the human condition.
Right. And we see that through the character of Dr. Kemp Griffin's former friend.
Oh, yeah. Kemp is a fascinating character.
He represents the voice of reason, you know? The moral compass in this world that's been turned upside down by Griffin's actions.
But he's also torn, you know,
It is.
between his loyalty to his friend and his responsibility to society.
It's a classic moral dilemma.
What do you do when someone you care about becomes a danger to others?
That's a question that resonates with all of us, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
And Kemp's internal struggle just intensifies as Griffin's actions become more and more destructive.
Right, and the train derailment is a perfect example of that.
That scene is horrifying.
It shows just how far gone Griffin is.
It's no longer about pranks or petty revenge.
He's become a genuine threat to public safety.
And it raises the stakes of the entire film.
It's a turning point from suspense to outright terror.
Exactly. And it sets the stage for the thrilling climax.
But before we get to that,
Yes.
I want to touch on something you mentioned earlier. You know about the film's social commentary?
Oh, yes, that's a crucial element, I think.
Absolutely. You can't ignore the fact that Griffin is an outsider even before he becomes invisible.
Right, he's already alienated from society in a way.
And his invisibility becomes a metaphor for that, you know?
It's like he's both literally and figuratively unseen.
Right. And it makes you wonder if his descent into madness is partly fueled by these feelings of isolation.
And it's a very valid interpretation.
That adds another layer of complexity to the film.
It really makes you think about the ways in which society can marginalize individuals.
Absolutely. And how that marginalization can have devastating consequences.
Right, and that theme is still so relevant today, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a timeless story about the dangers of unchecked ambition and the importance of human connection. And as Griffin just spirals further and further, you know, his reign of terror escalates.
Oh, yeah?
And the film just masterfully keeps ratcheting up that tension.
It really does.
Yeah.
And it all leads to this incredibly suspenseful climax.
Oh, for sure.
Like that scene where the police are trying to capture Griffin.
Yeah, they use Kemp as bait.
I was on the edge of my seat.
Oh, yeah, it's so well done.
You can feel the desperation of the authorities,
Mhm.
the panic in the air.
And then, of course,
Amazing.
it all ends tragically with Kemp's death.
That's a real turning point in the film.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that actions have consequences.
Right. Griffin's invisibility might shield him from physical harm,
Yeah.
but it can't protect him from the moral weight of his actions.
And you know what's interesting is that the film doesn't shy away from showing the impact of Griffin's actions on the people around him.
Exactly. We see the fear in the eyes of the villagers, the anguish of Dr. Cranley and Flora.
And Kemp's sacrifice is just heartbreaking.
It's a powerful reminder of the human cost of Griffin's ambition and his madness.
Speaking of powerful,
Come on.
we have to talk about Claude Rains' performance as the Invisible Man.
Oh, absolutely. He's incredible.
This was his first starring role in Hollywood, you know?
Real.
And to think he delivers such a chilling and memorable performance using only his voice.
It's mind-blowing when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, for most of the film, we never even see his face.
Right.
But his voice just conveys so much emotion.
So much depth.
The way he shifts from charming and persuasive to menacing and deranged.
It's truly unsettling.
It's a masterclass in vocal acting.
It really is. It proves that sometimes what you don't see is far more impactful than what you do.
Couldn't agree more. And speaking of things unseen, we can't forget about those groundbreaking special effects.
Oh, they were revolutionary for their time.
Right. I mean, even today, they still hold up pretty well.
They do. I was particularly impressed by that scene where Griffin removes his bandages
Oh, yeah.
and reveals his invisibility for the first time.
It must have been a technical marvel to pull that off in 1933.
I can't even imagine how they did it.
Well, they used a combination of techniques, you know, like
Wow.
wires, forced perspective,
Mm.
matte paintings, even some early forms of optical compositing.
It's just amazing to think about the ingenuity and the craftsmanship involved.
Yeah, it's a testament to the skill of those early filmmakers.
Absolutely. And it's a big part of why The Invisible Man remains such a visually stunning film.
But you know what's really interesting to me is that The Invisible Man isn't just a technical marvel
It's not.
or just a thrilling horror film.
Right. It's more than that.
It's a film that asks profound questions about human nature.
It does. And about the consequences of our choices.
Right. It's a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ambition.
And the seductive allure of power.
Griffin's invisibility initially seems like the ultimate power,
Right. He can do whatever he wants.
but it ultimately becomes his prison.
It isolates him.
Yeah, drives him further into madness.
It's a reminder that true power comes from connection
From empathy and compassion.
and from using your abilities for good.
The Invisible Man also touches on those themes of social isolation and the fear of the other.
That's a really important aspect of the film.
It is. I mean, Griffin, even before he becomes invisible,
Right.
he's already an outsider,
He doesn't quite fit in.
driven by his own obsessions.
Alienated from those around him.
And his invisibility becomes a metaphor for that inability to connect.
That's a great point. It's like his desire to disappear from a world that doesn't understand him.
Exactly. And in a way, it's a manifestation of his inner turmoil, his desire to escape the constraints of society.
And the burdens of his own humanity.
It's a powerful message that still resonates today.
It does, especially in a world where technology can often isolate us from one another.
Yeah. The Invisible Man reminds us of the importance of human connection.
And the dangers of letting our ambitions consume us.
Absolutely. And you mentioned earlier the film's enduring influence on popular culture.
I did. That bandaged, bespectacled image of the Invisible Man is instantly recognizable.
Oh, yeah, it's iconic.
Even people who haven't seen the film know who he is.
Right. It's a testament to the film's lasting impact.
And the concept of invisibility, it continues to fascinate us.
Oh, for sure. It's a theme that's been explored in countless books, movies, and TV shows.
It makes you wonder what you would do if you had that power.
It's a question that's both exciting and a little bit terrifying. The film has been remade and reimagined many times.
It has. But the original 1933 version remains a classic.
It's a film that continues to terrify and entertain and provoke thought.
And it's a reminder that sometimes the most frightening monsters are the ones we create ourselves.
Well said. And one thing I wanted to touch on is how brilliantly the film uses sound to create that sense of unease and dread.
Oh yeah, the sound design is incredible.
Especially considering that the main character is invisible.
Right. Sound becomes even more important in a film like this.
Exactly. It has to do a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of conveying Grisham's presence and his menace.
And it does it so well.
The creaking floorboards, the rustling curtains.
His voice echoing through empty rooms.
It all creates this palpable sense of dread.
Like we're constantly being watched.
It's a masterclass in using sound to build suspense and keep the audience on edge.
And it really adds to the film's overall effectiveness.
It does. It's just another example of how The Invisible Man is a true masterpiece of horror cinema. It's amazing how The Invisible Man manages to be both terrifying and thought-provoking at the same time.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's not just about the scares.
No, not at all. It really delves into those deeper themes you were talking about earlier.
Right, like isolation, ambition, and the consequences of our choices.
Yeah, Griffin's invisibility, it becomes a metaphor for how we can isolate ourselves from others,
Both physically and emotionally.
It really makes you think, what would you do if you had that power?
That's the question, isn't it?
Would you use it for good or for personal gain or...
Would it corrupt you like it did Griffin?
It's a question that has resonated with audiences for almost a century.
And it's still relevant today.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the allure of the unseen, the unknown, that's timeless.
And it's interesting how the film also serves as a cautionary tale about scientific hubris.
Oh, yeah. Griffin's pursuit of knowledge, it ultimately leads to his downfall.
He becomes so obsessed with achieving his goal that he doesn't stop to think about the implications.
Right, the ethical implications.
He loses sight of his humanity in that quest for scientific advancement.
It's a theme that's more relevant than ever, I think.
Especially with all the advancements in technology we're seeing today.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, are we pushing the boundaries of science too far?
Are we considering the potential consequences?
It's something we all need to be thinking about.
And beyond the thought-provoking themes, The Invisible Man is just a masterclass in filmmaking.
Oh, absolutely. The way James Whale uses lighting and shadows and camera angles to create suspense.
It's masterful.
Mm.
And the way he tells the story visually, even though we don't see Griffin's face for most of the film,
right,
we still understand his emotions, his motivation.
Yeah, you can see it in his actions.
In his voice.
The reactions of the people around him.
It's proof that sometimes what's left unseen can be far more powerful.
Well said. And The Invisible Man, it's a film that has truly stood the test of time.
It's a classic for a reason.
It continues to frighten, entertain, and make us think.
It's a must-see for any fan of horror cinema.
Or anyone who appreciates great storytelling.
I think we've covered just about everything there is to cover on The Invisible Man.
I think so.
Hopefully this deep dive has given you a new appreciation for this classic film.
If you're interested in learning more, be sure to check out some of those resources you shared with us.
There's a wealth of information out there about the film, its historical context, its impact on popular culture.
It's fascinating stuff.
And as always, we encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the films that have shaped our culture.
And don't forget to let us know what films you'd like us to discuss in the future.
We love hearing from you. Until next time, keep exploring the world of cinema.